It's over, streamer. I have all 3 HDMI 2.1 capture cards. With these, I can capture anything! Well, almost. This is a no-frills HDMI 2.1 capture card that saves you a few bucks under AVerMedia's offering without innovating much. But it's pretty stable and easy to wrap your head around as a result. In a market dominated by 2 companies, it's nice to see competition not only just come out, but continue to do well with iterative product releases. This is the ASUS TUF Capture Box 4K Pro, a mouthful of a name, but a lovely iteration on their CU 4K30 capture card I reviewed a couple years back. Not much has changed about the box itself. 4-pole headset input and controller pass-through audio ports on the front, HDMI input and output, and USB-C on the back. The magic is on the inside. The USB-C port has been upgraded to USB 3.2 Gen 2, aka 10 gigabit per second, like the other recent models we've seen, and the HDMI ports have been upgraded to HDMI 2.1. This allows the new ASUS cards to pass through your next generation console's 4K 120Hz signals in HDR and variable refresh rate, and capture a lovely 4K 60 or 1440p 120 from them, where previous generation capture cards would have left your consoles locked to 4K 60 connectivity to your TV. HDR is limited to 4K at 30 FPS for capture or 1440p at 60 FPS or lower, but you can capture 4K 60 from 4K 120 or scale 4K 120 down to 1440p 120 or 1080p 120 to get all 120 frames captured for slow-mo. 4K 60 is supported in uncompressed NV12 on the higher bandwidth USB ports, which is lovely to see. YUY2 is supported for 1440p 60 and 1080p 120, which is also nice. Unfortunately, there are no 444 RGB modes for any format with this card. Notably missing here is 240Hz support at 1440p. This is a downgrade from the AVerMedia and Elgato cards. So if you have a 1440p 240 monitor, you'll probably want to save up for one of those two, but it's a good sacrifice since most people won't have a use for that format. Input latency is great at around 62.71 milliseconds-ish. I had to switch latency testing hardware for this. My usual time sleuth was always picked up with a weird purple tinted view for some odd reason, and I never figured out why. But that's why I have multiple latency testing gadgets for backup, because you need it. This input latency to the OBS preview equals about 4 frames worth of input latency, which isn't the fastest on the market, and it's technically double what you'd get from Elgato at the moment, but it is competitive enough that I consider it fine. Anything close to 3 or 4 frames or 60-ish milliseconds is good enough in my book. Unfortunately, we see no special modes for this card like with Elgato's offering for capturing weird stuff. So no 1280x800 Steam Deck compatibility mode, no 1920x1440 compatibility for the RetroGem or RetroTink 5X. It will detect 1920x1440 as 2560x1440 in widescreen, like most USB capture cards, and just needs a scaling aspect ratio control filter in OBS to compensate. Weirdly, 720x480 is omitted here too, automatically being scaled up to another higher resolution instead. The scaler on this card is pretty flexible, scaling any supported input signal up or down to pretty much whatever format you wish, which is nice. Many USB cards have some weird scaling issues, and I've not seen any such issues here. Software-wise, instead of just providing a basic utility to manage audio levels and inputs, ASUS has actually given us a full capture app in line with Elgato's 4K capture utility. You can change resolution and frame rate, enable HDR capture, enable a secondary virtual output to still loop the card into video calling programs or OBS while capturing in the app, change the bitrate, and even do flashback or time shift recording, allowing you to go back and just capture specific clips from a buffer. While this is neat, and a lot of new users frequently ask for a program to download, to capture from their capture card without needing to learn OBS. However, this is so similar that I'm kind of concerned at just how much was copied from Elgato here. Here you can also do some bare bones streaming, update firmware, and control the audio input levels if you use the audio jacks on this card. Again, I love that ASUS is doing this when virtually no one else is anymore in the competition market. Obviously, Elgato and AVerMedia have their own programs, but I do worry about trouble with Elgato due to the similarity. Also, there's this weird bug when full screening it that it often just zooms in on the top left corner instead of fitting properly. Also, once I got full screen working, there was some weird lag on the different RGB or YUV color channels to where I could see the color separation during motion in game, which was kind of nauseating. It didn't affect the quality of the capture, thankfully, which was all right. Input latency using the app was around 66 milliseconds, so not too far off the OBS preview, but not playing any faster either. Playing from this preview wasn't super great. It could work for some games, but not recommended for first-person shooters. All in all, I don't have many complaints. I love how ASUS handles their audio routing better than most other capture cards on the market. It is still missing a few formats compared to Elgato's 4KX, but I think it's a more compelling option given the cheaper price than AVerMedia's Live Gamer Ultra 2.1, and it's great to see competition thriving. To get up to speed on all this HDMI 2.1 capture madness, check the link in the playlist link in the description, along with a link to my shop at glitch.mov. Remember to be kind, rewind.